So, since the new movie Fix is coming out, I thought I can review some original adult animated movies from the 1970s, directed by Ralph Bakshi. Starting with Fritz the Cat. Fritz the Cat was based off a comic strip written and drawn by Robert Crum. This video will talk about how weird Crum was and what his comics were about a bit later, and how Ralph Bakshi interpreted his comics into a film. The movie is set in 1960s New York. We get a scene of some animals talking, but they're supposed to be construction workers, and they're talking about their daughter's college. This is a real, just random conversation animated. After we see workers, we see a loose hippie getting pissed on because loose hippies get pissed on by the government because they decide to do something different with their lives, like playing music and writing poetry. So we get a very likable scene where Fritz and his friends are playing music for the girls, but the music is terrible, but they still think that they're going to get some action. So we get a funny scene where these girls are talking to this crow that's supposed to be a black person, and they keep trying to be smart, and they say stuff like, how come black actors only get to play black people when they're such talented actors? He's just forced to listen to these girls go on because they're trying to impress him, and of course it doesn't work. This is what we called fake intellectuals. So Fritz starts wandering around, asking his girls to follow him as he tries to impress them with his tragic intellectualism. This is something that might have used to work, but it probably doesn't work nowadays. You see, this is how Crumb viewed women. If Crumb said enough intellectual, depressing bullshit to them, then he would get to touch them, no matter how perverted what he's saying is. You see, in this movie, there's scenes where the animals are talking about what animal they are. When in Crumb's books, the animals are just meant to represent people. They weren't supposed to be animals. So we get a scene where the aardvark is talking to the cat about sex. So I'm just thinking if this is how Arthur was made. Next, we get a scene where Fritz burns his poetry. I don't know why he burns his poetry, but this is meant to symbolize how when your art is made by a crazy person, it can cause chaos to the world. And this is a little example of causing chaos by burning down a city because people don't know how to interpret art and not cause war. Next we see Fritz in a bar where he's talking to some crows, and Fritz is also being a fake intellectual, trying to say he knows how the crows feel about discrimination. But of course, this doesn't impress the crows. You see, Fritz is also a fake intellectual, just like those girls. Next, we get a scene that is just chaos of a pig shooting in a church. I bet this was very controversial because shooting and nudity isn't usually shown in churches, but it's just like a pointless scene that is just meant to have some beautiful animation. Next, we get to see a scene where Fritz is touching this crow, but the crow was kind of stripping from him in the street, so I guess the crow wanted it to happen. I don't know what's really going on. It's just some crude stuff, but I think it's meant to show the odd experiences Crum will talk about with chubby black woman and chubby Mexican woman that he had. Next, we get a scene with Fritz's actual girlfriend that he wants to marry, but he keeps cheating on her, and they get trapped into this desert. You see, this scene is very similar to a scene in Down Dirty Duck that also ends with the characters in a desert. But in Down Dirty Duck, nobody helps them or tries to help them get out of their situation. They just try to shoot him. So, in a much more tragic example of society where people don't always want to help you, and they would claim that you're breaking the law when you're not. So the movie ends with a quick flash of hell that Fritz thinks he's sent to, but I think this is just hallucination with these crazy hell characters. So we see Fritz in a hospital bed, and even when he's about to die, he also likes to have fun with women. So that's Fritz the Cat. This movie is not perfect, but does have great animation and did do a lot for what you can do with animation nowadays. And it still had meaningfulness, and it wasn't just crude. But I can see why Crumb didn't like it, because it just showed Crumb in a very strange way, and maybe they could have done better with Fritz being a more thoughtful character. But maybe they were just trying to write how Fritz was in the book, and Fritz was not meant to reflect Crumb. But overall, this is a very fun and meaningful movie that you should watch at least once.